Yo guys, this is a video from inside my Blender Octane community. Links down in the description below. If you guys are interested in learning more about Blender Octane in more immersive and in-depth way, check the link down below. Let's get into the video. All right, guys, so I went through the community. I've been asking a lot of you guys what you guys want to see as far as next videos. And one of the repeating questions that I've been getting so far is multi-layer EXR setups and basically compositor passes and setting that up. So we're going to quickly jump into Blender and I'm going to walk through basically a quick run through of how to basically set up multi-pass EXRs or how to set up passes that you guys want to send out to maybe like DaVinci or Nuke or DaVinci Resolve or something like that. So let's quickly jump into that here. If we go over to Blender, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight to a default scene just so we don't have any like preferences, like because my preferences are completely different and sometimes that could be confusing. So I'm going to go into File, we're going to go to New, and then we're going to jump down here to Octane Render Setup, Path Tracing. And that's going to jump us into this setup here. And this is the default setup, and which I did realize they did make a couple little changes here. So this is a good opportunity for me to kind of also kind of explore the new setup that they can have here. So this first window here is basically a shader setup. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and minimize that because we don't need to see that in this case. But we do got two setups here. We've got one here. We've got the render AOV setup here. And then we've also got this one here, which is the Render Octane composite setup, okay? So by default, this is what they've got us set up with. If you look here, they've got this, they've named it Comp Denoise, and it basically has a post-processing pass, AOV. So this is where we set up the channels that you want to send out, like you want to have access to. And quickly, actually, I should have probably brought that other one. Let me jump over here and change this to Blender standard compositor, okay, just so we can see what's also happening over here. And I'm gonna go new. And now if you quickly see, this is Blender standard version here. And this is what we've got coming out of here. You already see we got a post-processing pass, a comp denoise pass, and a comp beauty pass. And then we've also got a beauty pass. So again, a lot of people are familiar with this setup. We can easily just go ahead and set in a file output, right? File output, and then go ahead and just plug that into whatever we want here to get our output files. So where you're going to save it and you can have a hard copy of that, right? We can also do this inside of Octane itself. If we come over to the edge down here, and if you go to output, you scroll down here to outputs, you'll see Octane output is checked here and reuse the output. So you go ahead and save your file wherever you're going to save it. And then you notice here, we have this some extra stuff here. Let me open this up so we can see a lot of this detail here. If I go here, export out, right now the file type is set to PNG. I can set this to EXR, JPEG, or TIFF, right? So we can go to EXR. Now, when you do that by default, it's going to export separate images files. So right now it's going to give us a comp beauty, it's going to give us a comp denoise, and it's going to give us a post-processing, right? And matter of fact, let me just go ahead and set this up really quickly while, actually, I'll leave it in the temp. No, I'm going to put it in a quick little folder right here. All right, so I've got this saved now. Once I've got this Octane output, I'm not really concerned about what's happening with the output of the standard Blender here because I want to have already have my output set up here. So with the EXRs, I tend to use multi-EXRs. So again, if we wanted to set that, we can just come here and say export out multi-EXR. So it's all going to be, all of those passes are going to be in the one file there, okay? So let me just quickly come here and let's just see if we can do one frame just so you can see what's happening. I'm going to set this to like 10 samples because we don't need it to be anything crazy. I notice it's back to 1 million. It's defaulting back to 1 million. I'm going to set the GI clamp to 10 because 1 million means it's going to be like as close as realistic. Like the Geo is going to have unlimited bounces and it's going to help with the render times. So just for that sake right there, let me also save this because sometimes you know how Blender is. Blender likes to crash whenever it wants to. All right, I've got that saved. I'm just going to go ahead and render just a quick little file here. There's nothing, fancy. There it is. And I want to show you what's going to happen on the other end so you can see the outputs that we get for that. So if I bring over my folder here, here is my test comp folder, and we can clearly see this is what we've got here. We've got the denoise beauty, we've got the denoise comp, we've got the denoise comp denoise or comp denoise, and then we've got the post processing. There it is, all separate files. So if we double click on this, here is our, what is the first one? The beauty view. That is our beauty view. And then if we come in here to our comp beauty view, here is our comp beauty view. probably should do something normal so we can get like and see the difference. And then here is our comp denoise beauty. So this is basically has the denoise. We have the post processing, and here is the post processing. Well, actually, I can see a little bit of, I think, no, that's just my reflection. So let me quickly add something in here so we can get a proper look on this here. All right, there we go. We've got that. Then I want to add some post processing here so we can see that also working. And I'm going to go to post processing, turn that on here. Let's just add some bloom like 25. All right, and then I'm going to just quickly also change that background to give us a little bit more pop so we can see it happening here. And what I'm going to do is just go click on environment background. I'm going to go to a texture environment, and I'm just going to change the color on that just to like there. And then what we need to do is say, hey, I want this to be on the background plate, and that will be on the background plate. And now everything else, all the refractions is not going to include that, because if we do, look, that's what's going to happen. So I want that to see the HDRI and everything else. Okay. Now let's go ahead and just quickly render that one more time so we can see the difference in the passes. And again, we can see the same passes from here. If I go to composite view layer, we can see the same passes right here. Here's our beauty, right? You can see there's no post processing. Now there's our beauty. Then we can come in here to post processing. There is just the post processing. Then we go into comp denoise, and that is basically taking the denoise and I think basically the processing and comping them together. And then we also have comp beauty, which I'm not sure exactly what comp beauty is doing. I think comp beauty is maybe with no noise, with no denoise on it. And I guess with this, let's see right here. And if I come back here to comp denoise, yes, okay. So the comp is without the denoise. So that's basically it. Post-processing by itself, post-processing and denoise, and then just post-processing and beauty with no denoise. Okay, so there it is. That's basically what's happening. And then just the raw beauty pass, right? So now if we also jump back, we should also have those files in the outputter, right? They basically outputted the same thing. There's that. Our next one, comp beauty, right? And again, this is washed out because we're looking at an EXR, okay? Don't remember, we're looking at it in raw linear. It's not converted for the monitor. And then post-processing, boom, very simple. Now, on the opposite side, if I come back over here, let me just take this again. And if I come back here and delete all of these, right? And then if I come back and go over to our output and then come here and change it to, actually, this probably, we can probably fix the EXR, separate images, image. We can set here to linear sRGB. Again, also, this is how we export out ACEs. If you come into your viewport and you just tick the ACEs, if I come over here and go in and I go over to, where is it? Camera imager. And right here, ACEs tone mapping. This doesn't matter. This doesn't mean that you're exporting out ACEs. This is just your viewport tone mapping. Now you're seeing it in the ACEs color space. That doesn't mean you're exporting it though. To export it out in ACEs, you need to come over here to color space. Now ACEs HCG. Now you're exporting it out as ACEs. So FYI, a lot of people think they just tick that and they're seeing ACEs on the output. No, you're not. Okay, so I'm gonna set that back to linear sRGB. And now what I want to do is export a multi-layer EXR file. And again, we can come in here. Now, some people also have the issue, for example, if I go to a background, because this happens all the time, and this bugged me when I first was doing VFX, like I was like, why is this not working? If we do another export, now we got a transparent background, right? And what's gonna happen, if you notice, we're gonna have like these jagged edges on our alpha. And like what's happening, and also take note, we lose, I think we lose a little bit of our, I can't remember, on the post-processing, when we do the post-processing, we lose that alpha data because of, yeah, I don't think this is a true alpha background anymore compared to like, see, yeah, we lose that alpha data when we add that post-processing in there, okay? But now you see, we have this jagged edge. And when you open this up in DaVinci, there's a jagged edge. That is actually the real workflow, that like the pro workflow, where when you have it pre-multiplied and unmultiplied edges. So it's very hard to explain for beginners, but if people who work in Nuke are very familiar with this, or who do compositing, you take the alpha channel and you basically pull off the alpha channel. The math that's being happened on the edges is not being divided or multiplied. I can't remember which one it is. Pre-multiply mean they're not being multiplied. So the edges are like, boom, they're very like this, right? When you pre-multiply, is it pre-multiply? When you pre-multiply, it kind of fixes the edges and it looks kind of like nice and clean. when you divide it, I think it's opposite, right? I can't remember. But anyways, the edges look jagged. They look coarse. They look horrible. And people are like, why are my edges so rough? Because it's the real pro workflow. You have the edges like this, you do your color grading, you push around pixels, and then once you're finished, you pre-multiply that, and it pre-multiplies the edges to look nice and clean. Because when you're moving pixels around in the color grading, you're stretching pixels, you're moving pixels, and you're gonna get this weird gray edge if you don't do it this way. So a lot of people are like, why is that? How do I fix that? This is where you'll come into, back to your output, and you'll see right here, pre-multiplied edges. This will pre-multiply those edges, so they'll be, bing, they'll look like a normal PNG file. If it's not ticked, it's showing you the raw, unpre-multiplied, basically, and that's the proper workflow. Then when you get in DaVinci Resolve or Nuke, they always do a pre-multiply at the end of their chain to put that back in together. So think about it. You got your raw image. You're taking that alpha and you're just going to turn it off for a minute. Do all the color grading and effects and everything, and then you're going to put that back on, and now the multiply, you're going to put it back inside like a cookie, and now it's nice and clean. So that's where you would check that if you wanted to have that pre-multiply. So the FYI there, that is. And then our compression, we can come in here and change our compression level, DWA is what I typically use because it's a lot more smaller than PNG sometimes, and we're holding a lot more data. Again, force use tone mapping, which I've never had to use, but people who need that, you'll know this is where it's at. 16-bit, we're using a 16-bit EXR. If you do, crypto mask, you probably want to pump that up to a 32-bit. So there's everything. And then again, if I come in here and just do a quick render on this, now we should only have one EXR file. If I come back over here, now you see we have one EXR file. And this is a multi-layer, and it's only showing the top one first here. So that's where there's our jagged edges, unmultiplied jagged edges, perfect example. And then if I come back here, let's go back and do another quick render to show you the difference. Pre-multiplied edge, come back here, render it one more time here, let it finish, boom. Now we got, look at the data now. We've got it all pre-multiplied, like there's in between. All right, guys, so that's just half of this video. There is more that will be available inside our Blender Octane community. We start to get into AOV passes and other things like that. If you guys are interested, 7-day free trial, links down below. Catch you on the next video. Peace.